All right, I think. Are we live? Are we
We're
not
live.
live? Are we? We are.
Says we're
Awesome.
live.
Episode 45. We are live. And it's happy Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day all around. Love for everybody. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning.
How's it going?
Happy Valentine's Day. Yeah, it's going
Yeah.
good.
Cool. So, let's see. So we're gonna talk about questions today. The topic of our episode here is all about questions and how you can use them to get more shit done. Right? We're gonna specifically talk about questions as your single biggest leverage point in order to make faster progress in your business. But before we do, we're going to start out with a little bit of positive focus. I will say I had a really cool experience. I'm booked on a podcast tonight. So I've been working on figuring out ways to grow, get shit done, to spread the word, to get everything that we're doing out there on a higher level. And technically speaking, we don't even have a podcast right now because we're not syndicating the Get Shit Done show on any of the podcast networks. Not for any good reason other than we've been getting in the rhythm of doing the daily show, and we've been doing a bunch of other. We have the community. By the way, happy Valentine's Day to everyone. For Valentine's Day, we're going to do something very, very special that I've been dragging my feet on, which is I have opened the doors to our paid community, the Get Shit Done community on School. The first week that we opened it, it was free, and then we turned it to paid. And for today, I've opened up the doors at getshitdone.com where you can come and join our community 100% free of charge. You can get a lifetime membership to the Get Shit Done community without having to pay a dime now or later, which is a pretty outrageous gift. So
Awesome.
If you want to get shit done and you've been thinking about joining our community, then do it today before we start charging again, right? Happy Valentine's Day. I love entrepreneurs and I want to see you succeed. So come join if you're an entrepreneur, you want to increase your productivity, you want to get more shit done, come join us at getshitdone.com. And we would love to see you on the inside. So in case you don't know how to spell it, here's how to spell it. Come on. Something is weird with the internet today.
What's happening?
There we are. A little delay, a little StreamYard delay. All good. Cool. So I'm happy that it's Valentine's Day. I'm happy that we've opened the doors to the Get Shit Done community as a special gift to you guys. And it's also Brattleboro Ski Jump Weekend. It's happening, and the past couple of years, I've gone to the ski jump and it's fun, but I've been very upset. And the reason I've been upset is because a few years ago I went and they had a raclette booth set up. And if you don't know what raclette is a Swiss type of cheese from.
You told me about this.
The Alps. Yeah, and it's kind of like fondue, except without the wine or the sherry. You know, there's no alcohol in it, because it's scraped off this giant cheese wheel that is heated with an overhead heating element, and to the point of bubbling, and then you scrape it off with a big knife, usually on top of a big stack of potatoes, and then you eat it, and it keeps you warm when you're outside watching people jump off ski jumps. Kind of a traditional alpine treat. And the last couple of years, the raclette stand wasn't there. I literally paid $20 just to get for a ticket to get in the door. Cause I mean, seeing one or two kids go flying off a giant ski jump is cool, but I don't know. It's not the most exciting thing in the world, but raclette is one of the most exciting things in the world. And the raclette, I don't know if it's just too much of a pain in the butt, or maybe the raclette guy went out of business. I don't know. But this year at the newly renovated and expanded Brattleboro Retreat Farm, there's going to be a whole raclette experience and tasting tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to going down and having a very tasty raclette experience for the ski jump tomorrow. So I'm pretty stoked about that. I do love cheese, regardless of its down points and whatever. Like, cheese is one of my favorite things in the world.
Awesome.
What about you, dude? What are you stoked about this morning?
I slept really well again for the third consecutive night, which is a huge improvement. So I feel rested this morning. I had a ton of interesting dreams, which happens when I sleep really good. Yeah, and I'm stoked for it to be Valentine's Day. I've got some fun things lined up for the day, some surprises, and then my girlfriend's got some surprises. So it's going to be a day full of surprises, and yeah, it's nice. You know, Valentine's Day has been kind of like a sore spot for me in a lot of my life, and this may be, I think, probably the first time I've ever really had somebody significant in my life during Valentine's Day to celebrate with. So yeah, I feel really grateful
cool.
and excited for that. Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. Awesome. Well, I hope it goes super well. I'm a little bummed. My girlfriend's out of town for Valentine's Day.
Oh, okay. Yep.
She went into New York City to do a cool performance at a kind of a theater space that was being put on by a friend of hers, and so she went in and did a performance last night, and then is coming back on the train tomorrow. So so I'm going to be spending Valentine's Day evening with my kids. And one of the things that happened, I started talking about this and I went on a tangent. This is a double positive focus. So I was interested in and am interested in growing the Get Shit Done mission and growing the community and everything that we're doing. And so I just happened yesterday at some point. I was like doom scrolling on Facebook, and I came across, I think Facebook suggested that I join a group for podcasters. And it's like, want a guest, need a guest, on your podcast, come join this group. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I joined the group, and I went in there, and there were like all sorts of people who were asking for people to be guests on their podcasts and being guests on podcasts. And I was like, oh,
cool.
This is cool. And then Facebook showed me 20 other groups that all have tens of thousands of members that were doing similar things. So I joined a few of the groups. Yep. And I went in there and I was like, I started responding to a few of the posts that said, if use this post to connect with other podcasters, and then see other, whether you want to be a guest or get guests. And then I'd see hundreds of the responses on these comments. And so I was like, oh, well, I can throw my hat in the ring and see what happens with because nobody, podcasting is a little bit like, it's essentially like an unregulated radio station. Okay. So Brattleboro has had Radio Free Brattleboro for several decades. A couple of my friends started it back in the day, and it was like previously for a long time, it was an unregistered, just like broadcasting on the airwaves without regulation, until they essentially got shut down and were forced to upgrade their equipment and do so legally. And there was a big hubbub about it quite a few years ago, and they finally got all their stuff legal and blah, blah. And, but still, having a independent radio station, that's basically what podcasting is like an independent radio station with no regulations. And so you got all sorts of people doing all sorts of weird stuff. Right. And so I last night I went with my daughter Lightning. We went to the local high school musical for a musical that I had never seen before called Hadestown, and it was awesome. By the way, it was unbelievable. I was extremely moved a few times by these high schoolers that were just singing these incredible songs. And Hadestown is a story. It's a modern-ish retelling of a story about the Greek gods, and specifically about Hades and Persephone's marriage, and how spring, blossoms and then dies every year, and freezes over, and all these types of things. And it's a great story. But so I went out, we saw Hades Town. It was really, really good. And while I was watching it, I just kind of let go from all my normal thoughts and mental preoccupations. I just was kind of present and there and taking the whole thing in. And I had this moment of revelation where I've been journaling about this a lot lately, and where I realized that what I need to hypnotize as many people on the planet as possible. Like, basically, I need to give people access to more of their mind and brain. I need to open it up. And so I've been feeling this more and more, and I've started doing webinars. We're obviously doing hypnosis live streams. I'm giving away, not giving away. I'm doing one-on-one hypnosis sessions with people at name your own price, pay what it's worth, right? And on that note, if you're interested in hypnosis, if you're interested in increasing your productivity, if you're curious about hypnosis or wealth hypnosis to improve your money mindset, you can actually go to www.workwithtellman.com, and you can sign up at whatever price it's worth to you. I normally charge $500 for a private hypnosis session, and I want you to pay the amount that the change that you want is worth to you. So hypnosis, like so many other things, is really about the investment that you make in yourself. So make the investment that you need to make in order to give yourself the focus and attention you need to change the problem, right? And so if that's $5,000, then put $5,000 down. If it's $500, put $500 down. If it's $50, put $50 down, and make the investment in yourself in order to get your conscious and subconscious attention on the issue that you want to fix, right? Most of my clients are money mindset clients. Some of my clients are also like productivity clients, thus get shit done, right? Is people who want to overcome procrastination, kick it into high gear, stop sloughing off, get their mind more focused. So anyway, workwithtellman.com. Currently, I only accept one client per day, 5 days a week. So spots get filled up pretty fast, but I do have some spots available for next week. If you're interested, that's the place to go. If you've been hemming and hawing and been curious about hypnosis, definitely check it out. But while I was at this musical, my mind just kind of expanded, and I realized that there are so many ways that I can help people with hypnosis throughout my day that I'm not taking advantage of and that I'm not using in order to get the word out there at a higher level. I don't have webinars scheduled every week with other people right now. I'm not actively appearing on other guest podcasts and live streams. I haven't put effort into that. I've been putting effort into inviting people into our podcast and live stream and these types of things. And we haven't even been doing that so much. You and I have been mostly just, doing the show together. And so I realized that there probably aren't a whole lot of hypnotists out there that are willing to just jump on a podcast, do an episode, and then hypnotize the listener. And I also realized that hypnosis is a somewhat obscure career and profession. It's not super common. And so, and I'm a wealth hypnotist, which is even more different. So I'm going on a comedy show tonight, and I think I think it's a fairly small comedy show. But here's the power, guys. So there was a post by these two dudes, and it said, "Is anybody willing to come on our podcast and talk about spicy food tomorrow night?"
Perfect for you. Yeah.
Is it perfect for me? I would say that it actually isn't. And
Really?
here's why. But that's the lesson. Okay? They're looking for a podcast host. They're looking for an interesting episode, not the same old blah, 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 right? And I love spicy food. My first business was Tellman Salsa. I usually have an empty Tellman Salsa jar around here, but I don't have one within reach at the moment. And hot and spicy food kicked off my entrepreneurial career, right? And I was studying the mind, altered states, peak performance, flow state, and shamanism in college while I was making and selling salsa. And so there's definitely, like, for me anyway, there's origin story crossover. And so I reached out and I was like, I don't normally talk about spicy food on podcasts as I'm a wealth hypnotist. But I told him my first business was a salsa company, and I was like, so I'm happy to talk about spicy food all day long, but if we can talk about hypnosis and entrepreneurialism, I'm much more interested. And they replied back, we love spicy food, we love wealth, and we love hypnotism. We'd love to have you on. So cool. I'm gonna be on this podcast. I listened to a little bit of one episode, so I don't really know what I'm getting into. Hopefully it's going to be cool. Because I just decided to dip my toe in this podcaster world, where none of these guys that are doing startup podcasts were studying marketing when I, like, 10, 15 years ago, when I was at, like, my peak of marketing guru-ness. Mm-hmm. And so essentially I'm an unknown factor. Like, most of these guys don't know who I am at all. All right. At least if they do, I haven't, heard about it yet. And so I asked the question, hey, I'll talk about hot peppers if we can also talk about this. How's that sound? And they said yes. Cool. So I saw something that is tangentially related to me, but not directly related to my business at all. And I managed to get a podcast booking in under 24 hours, and I'm totally allowed to promote my stuff. So I'm gonna offer the Get Shit Done membership for free later tonight, as as a result of this episode. And so, this is an example of how to ask powerful, meaningful, profitable questions. Right? When you see an opportunity, ask, even if you're not sure if they'll say yes. For all I know, they might have been like fundamentalist Christians who think hypnosis is the work of the devil. That totally could have been the case. Not the case, but it very easily could have been, right? So anyway, one more thing I'm very happy about, dipping my toe into the guest podcasting world, and we're going to see what happens. Cool. So all right, so Eric, we're going to get into some good questions. But before we do, I'd like to talk about what we were discussing before we went live. Right?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yep. So I texted you this morning. I was like, hey dude, you got a question or a topic? And I noticed there was like a long period that you didn't respond. And I was like, oh,
awkward silence.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I wonder what's going on here. And so, like, pretend that we didn't talk at all before we went live on the show. Like, what were you stuck on, or where did you get bound up with that this morning? What's been going on?
Yeah, I've been feeling like I have not been taking the action I need to take in my business activities in order to encounter problems that would prompt me to come up with a question to ask you. And I have an enormous backlog of actionable steps that you've given me that I have not implemented yet. And that's been really kind of weighing on me. I feel it's not that I don't feel motivated. I feel incredibly motivated and excited to do all this stuff. And I've never had such a dynamic schedule and calendar. I've never even used Google Calendars until more recently. And I'm running out of hours in the day to put into my business. And that's been really challenging for me. and it's been difficult for me to come up with new questions for problems that I haven't been encountering.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, there are a couple things about questions, right? And so in the
Yep.
description of today's episode, we talked about the $1 million question and the power of asking good questions. And maybe I'm lucky in that I've always been extremely curious about stuff and readily willing to embarrass myself by asking questions, right? Like I was definitely the kid who asked a lot of off-center annoying questions in school
Okay.
growing up
Yep.
because I wanted to know the answer and I was willing to ask the question even if it made me look dumb. And I've always been like that. I've always asked a lot of questions. I remember both of my parents being insanely frustrated with me asking like, well, why? Way too many, like as a kid, like single digits. I was a why kid, like why is this? Why is that? Why? Yeah, and I would challenge them. It was like that's bullshit. Yeah, why are we doing it that way? Why do I have to follow this silly rule? And so fortunately, I took that with me into being an entrepreneur,
Okay.
and every coaching program that I've joined, every home study program that I've joined, every marketing class that I've joined, I always ask questions about how it works, why it works that way, and how I can apply it in my business, or how it fits, how blah blah blah. And so I guess my brain just is kind of wired that way. But at the same time, for many years, I ran a very cool service for my business called, it had a weird name. I don't even know why I named it this, but I called it the Black Diamond Line, right? And I think it had something to do with difficult skiing, like Black Diamond trails.
All
But
right.
like,
Okay.
I'm not even a crazy, like I like downhill skiing, but I'm not like a nut. You know what I mean? Like I'm not like a hardcore super skier or something. I don't even go on Black Diamond trails because I am not that good at skiing. But for some reason, I called it the Black Diamond Line. And what happened is people paid $500 a month to get on the phone. This was pre-webinars. This is on teleseminars, and ask questions. And then I would answer them. No
Okay.
script, no preparation. And for me, that is the best way to teach. However, I was always amazed that people would pay so much money, show up, and it was often, not always, but often like pulling teeth, trying to get people to ask questions. There were always a few people that would ask questions, but the vast majority would not. They would not raise their hand.
Interesting.
They would not ask questions. They would not ask questions that were relevant to their business. They would ask stupid questions when they were put on the spot because they didn't think about them ahead of time, and they would not make any progress in their business. Okay.
Okay.
If you have a clear vision for what you're doing and what you're moving toward, and you're working on it, you should be filled with questions about how to do it better, how to do it faster, and how to get where you want to go. But if you're not working really putting their foot on the gas, moving anywhere, you're not going to have any questions because there's no urgency. There's no importance for you to do better. There's no importance for you to move faster. The other thing is that when you ask important questions, you're usually get an answer that requires a bunch of hard work that you're going to have to put into practice, which is
Right.
another reason that people don't ask questions, is they don't want to
Okay.
put more on their plate, right? Which might be some of what you're experiencing, right? You just said there's a ton of stuff you haven't implemented yet,
Right.
right? And so there's always more stuff that you haven't to implement than you'll ever have time to implement in your life.
Sure. Yep.
So there are a couple pieces about questions. One is get clear on what you're doing with your business or your project that you're moving toward, and then ask experts how to get there and how to do a better job. And then take action on it, of course. But if you don't have those questions that are coming to your mind, yeah, as I mentioned before we went live, I would suggest that you're not paying close enough attention to your numbers, to your results that you're getting from your actions, or you would probably be frustrated with your results and then be asking questions about how to get better results, right?
Right.
So that is an important piece. But the other one is around questions is this idea of, as a marketer, as an entrepreneur, as a guru, as a teacher, as a leader, as an influencer, it's our job to enter the conversation that's already happening in the mind of our prospects or our customers and ask questions on their behalf. Ask the questions that they have that they aren't able or willing to articulate. And when you do this, every single time they feel like you know them and you understand them better than they understand themselves. And those are magical questions. So that's one piece to this, is that really put yourself in the shoes of your perfect prospects and start asking, and one way or the other answering, whether you're answering it yourself or whether you're asking someone else a question, getting the answer to that question to serve your customers, to serve your prospects, right? Call. We've already talked about this. Reach out and call all the previous people that are on your team in Kangen that have joined, and ask them what their single biggest question is about how to be more successful with Kangen. And then after they tell you their one question, try to get 5 more out of them. Write them all down. So that's one way. The other way that we mentioned is go into the groups, whether it's Facebook groups or school groups or some other online community, and pay attention. Really go in there and realize that that's a giant pool of your perfect customers waiting for you to lead them. Okay. And if you are able to ask the question and or provide the answer in a way that resonates, they're going to pay attention to you. They're going to follow you. They're going to keep moving forward because they know that you get them. They know that you understand them. So look for the questions that they're asking and then start addressing them. If you can answer them yourself, that's great. Or if you want to ask somebody else, that's great. But whether it's putting it out to your email list to get questions and have people respond and write them in, or whether it's going into your Facebook group and asking people what their biggest question is and getting them to write it in, or whether it's making posts around this on Facebook or social and finding out what your followers have for questions, and that should give you a limitless supply of amazing questions. So that's one piece. The other piece is curiosity. So in this case, you could ask me a question, because we're doing, this live stream, the Get Shit Done live stream. Yep. Ask me questions about me. Like, okay, as the person asking the question, you're the interviewer, I'm the interviewee. So interview me, ask me questions, questions that are about aspects of my backstory that you know a little bit about, but you don't know as much as you'd like to, or how did I manage to accomplish this, or how did I manage to accomplish that, right? So this is another way, is basically be more curious about the story and experiences that the person you're interviewing has actually had. The questions don't need to be about you. They could be about me, or they could be about your ideal customers or prospects, right? So just don't limit them to you.
Yeah, right? I guess that's where I was getting hung up. I guess under the impression that was the assignment, was to find questions that were relevant to what specific things I was stuck on in my business. And
Well,
yeah,
it is. But at the
yep,
same
okay,
time, like someone else might have a whole different series of questions, and those are also relevant questions if it's
sure,
like
yep, uh-huh,
roughly within the same zone. You know,
okay, yep.
um, um, I'm like I'm not the guy to ask on how to like, I don't know. There are lots of things I'm not the guy to ask about, but I did do something cool while we were kind of like going over all this stuff. I know that you have a few questions. So I went to ChatGPT, and the first thing that I asked it was, what are the top 100 most pressing questions that internet entrepreneurs have about growing their business, productivity, and getting shit done, aka overcoming procrastination and making progress faster? Word them in an entertaining but clear way. And so I'm gonna list 5 questions from each one of the categories that it broke it down into for me. So the first category is business growth and scaling. How do I stop thinking about money and actually start making it? What's the fastest way to turn an idea into a profitable online business? How do I get more traffic without selling my soul to Mark Zuckerberg? What is the number one mistake keeping me broke, and how do I fix it? How do I sell more without feeling like a greasy used car salesman? Okay. And it goes on. Then there's about productivity and getting shit done. How do I get off the idea hamster wheel and actually execute? How do I stay focused when my brain is a chaotic mess of to-dos and shiny objects? How do I stop feeling busy and start being productive? What is the best morning routine for getting stuff done before the distractions hit? And how do I work less but make more money? Okay. Then there's another category, mindset and motivation. How do I stop doubting myself and finally believe I can succeed? Why do I feel like an imposter? An imposter. Why do I feel like an imposter? And how do I shut that voice up? How do I trick my brain into wanting to work? How do I break through fear and just freaking do the thing? What's the secret to staying motivated long term instead of just for a week? Okay, pretty good. Systems, tools, and automations. What's the best tool for automating my business without making it a complicated mess? How do I stop managing everything manually and actually scale? What's the best CRM for a small business that doesn't cost a kidney? How do I set up automation that saves me time without losing personal touch? And how do I use AI without sounding like a robot? Right? Marketing and selling more. How do I write emails that people actually open and read? How do I make content that sells instead of just getting likes? What is the best way to market myself without feeling cringe? How do I write a sales page that converts like crazy? What's the easiest way to attract high-paying clients? And then what's the fastest way to 10x my results without 10xing my effort? What's the simplest way to double my income this year? How do I make my business run itself while I sleep? How do I become unstoppable? What's the single most important skill for success? Okay. So I just read 5 different questions from I think 5 categories, and there are 100 total questions that I got. And so let me ask you this question, Eric. Were any of those questions not relevant to you?
I mean, I'm sure they're all relevant on some level.
On some level, right? For
Yeah.
sure. For sure. But then I went and did something funny. Okay.
Okay.
I said, what are the most provocative entrepreneurial questions someone could ask Tellman on the Get Shit Done show that would create amazing content and get awesome get shit and an awesome Get Shit Done episode? Okay.
Yep.
And what ChatGPT has to say is, here are 50 provocative, high impact questions that would make for an unforgettable episode of the Get Shit Done show, pushing boundaries, exposing hard truths, and forcing deep, raw, and powerful insights from Tellman Knudsen. These questions challenge controversial thinking, stir emotions, and ignite the kind of no BS conversations that get real results. So I haven't read these yet. Let's see what they have. So, 1, you've helped countless entrepreneurs. Why do so many people still not get their shit done? What's the real problem? Okay. What's the biggest lie people tell themselves about productivity, and how is it ruining their lives? If we strapped you to a chair and forced you to get more done in 24 hours than you ever have before, what would you do? What's the real reason people procrastinate and don't give us the usual BS answer? What's the most controversial productivity belief that other gurus would call crazy? Why do some people achieve insane success while others never even start? What's the key difference? If someone has been spinning their wheels for years, should they keep going, or is it time to quit? What's the harshest truth about success that most people aren't ready to hear? What's the worst productivity hack you've ever heard of that people still believe? Is willpower a myth? Can you actually train yourself to just power through anything? Anyway, this goes on, and it did 50 similar questions.
Awesome.
The final one is, what's the hardest question that no one has ever asked you, but you wish they would?
What's the answer to that one?
Right? Tellman, I desperately want to be part of your team and help get shit done to grow like crazy. How could I contribute the most to helping you achieve your vision? That would be a pretty awesome. Awesome one. I'd like to hear a few times today. That'd be sweet,
right?
Right?
Yeah. Yep.
So the point is that questions. The purpose of asking the question is to spark an interesting and engaging conversation, hopefully one that will be beneficial and valuable to you, to me, and to anyone that watches this, right? And guys, if you're just tuning in, I do want to say that we've decided to open up Get Shit Done for, good morning, Liz. Good morning. Liz says, great idea.
Hey, Liz.
Something a little bit earlier. And then she says, so smart. I appreciate you calling us smart, Liz. I would love to hear about what your biggest question is today. Hit us in the comments. So maybe one thing to do, Eric, is to study how to be a better interviewer.
Okay. Yeah, I like that idea.
Interviewers ask questions for a living, right?
Exactly.
And whether you're interviewing me, or whether we're talking, or whether you're interviewing someone else, I think that could be very beneficial. You have made a list of several people that you're in some degree of contact with. I believe most of them are network marketing oriented, but maybe there are some others. I didn't get the full list from you earlier, but asking them the question on if they'd like to be a special guest on the Get Shit Done show would be a great way to bring more energy and variation into the show.
Yeah,
and so I encourage you to start inviting some of those people to be a guest, and I'm happy to help you invite them as we move forward.
Great. Yeah, I'm stoked to do that.
Yeah. So ask people about this. So ask the question that if you had the answer, you could double your income in the next 30 days. Those are the types of questions to ask, right? The better your question, the better the answer. But if you don't put juice into asking the question, you're gonna end up kind of dead in the water, in my experience. Asking good questions is the fastest way to learn. It's the fastest way to make progress. Well, so we have a lot of questions here. Like there are a bunch that I listed off. There are a bunch more. We could address any of them, or maybe you have your own question that you've come up with about who knows, maybe asking questions. Where are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I guess how to ask questions that would help drive me forward at a time where I'm feeling a little bit stuck in terms of time management. So yeah, how do I yeah, because it's one thing to ask questions and get answers, but if I don't have the time to implement them, then that's what I keep running up against.
Okay.
Yep.
So let's ask that in question form.
Okay.
So what's the question?
How do I yeah, that's where I'm running up against also. So how do I even I'm not even sure what the question is there. It's a matter of time management. It's a matter of managing outside expectations of my time in a way that's sustainable for me to continue operating a business. And
Get more practical with it, dude. You're getting stuck in your head. You're getting stuck in
yeah,
theoretical. Like, what's the like? What do you act like? What's the challenge? What's the like? I understand. I mean, you and I mean, everybody has the same amount of time.
right. Yeah, that's
So
true.
I don't think you have any less time. Like if you were
Well, it's
if you
getting
were
whittled
working,
away from
I mean,
multiple sides.
yeah, but dude, if you had 5 kids, were
Yep.
single parenting and working 2 full-time jobs,
Yep.
then you'd have less time to work on your business. But like that's not the case, right? So like so where yeah, like where which part like what part are you stuck on?
Yeah, I mean, basically what I'm running up against is I could either yeah, I'm just kind of at a point where I either have to like blow off the people in my life and tell them that like, look, I need to do this and like I don't care how you feel about it, or and deal with the consequences of that. Or maybe it's not that I don't care how they feel about it, it's that like I need to do this anyways. And I do care how they feel about it, but I'm sorry, but I need to operate a business here.
Right, right.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
feeling very frustrated on this. Um, because
so for example,
yeah, I'm
right?
just getting my schedule filled with things other than my business and
Right.
feeling a
So
lot of pressure on that.
so let me let me throw a couple things out there to you.
Yep.
Number one, like this morning,
Yep.
I mentioned my girlfriend's in the city right now.
Yeah.
I got up 6:30 this morning, made my daughter breakfast, made my daughter lunch, drove her to school, came back, was hoping to talk with my girlfriend this morning and say happy Valentine's Day, but she's going to meet her son who lives in the city for coffee,
Hmm.
and she wasn't paying attention to the time, and I had the Get Shit Done show to do at 9 a.m. So I was like, sorry, we couldn't talk. I would have loved to, but I guess I'll catch you later,
Yeah.
And so, like, I think her and I both wanted to talk this morning,
Sure.
but we had a scheduled episode.
Yep.
And so, I think we both felt a little bit bad about not being able to connect on Valentine's Day morning, but I think we'll talk later today, and it's okay.
Cool. Yeah.
Um, the it it really sounds to me, dude, like you're having challenges. There are 2 things that you're having challenges with. One is setting clear boundaries for when you're working. Like, you need to set clear boundaries for when you're working. Set the
Yeah.
time aside and work then. Like, that's it. And then at the
It's
same time, it's like setting clear time where you can be fully present to do things with other people,
right.
right? Um, and prioritizing that too, just at a different time.
Yep.
And so, um, yeah, I mean, I'm how how are you, like, what's the challenge that you're running into around this? Like, actually, I want to maybe help break you free from the matrix a little bit. So let's go back a year from today, back in time.
Okay.
Okay. Were you making $100,000 a month while you were living on your farm in Hawaii?
Definitely not.
No. Were you making $10,000 a month living on your farm in Hawaii?
No, I wasn't.
Why not?
I feel like I was getting caught up with a lot of busy work that wasn't moving the needle forward. And it wasn't that I wasn't prioritizing time to put into my business. I was probably putting insane amounts of time, like 12 hours or more a day, because I had a wide open schedule to do whatever I want without any outside expectations on
That's
me.
why I'm bringing it up. Exactly.
Yeah, I had
Okay.
just amazing amounts of time.
But you still
Um,
weren't making the progress that you wanted to make.
No, I wasn't. Yeah, I feel like I lacked clear direction of the most important needle driving action items that I could be taking at that time. And it's frustrating to me now because I feel so much greater clarity on what those specific tasks are that I could be implementing to get dramatically greater results. And I've been just running into massive time constraints and demands of my time and energy and focus elsewhere other than my business. And yeah, I mean, ultimately that's not sustainable.
Okay. Well, so let's just be real for a second. Between Get Shit Done and your business,
Yep.
how much time are you willing, given your living situation and relationship and all the different things, how much time are you willing to dedicate every week to making money and growing your business, including Get Shit Done? Like,
Right.
what's
I
reasonable for
mean,
you? Like, for me,
yep.
dude, for me personally, like, regardless of relationship, regardless of kids, regardless of friends, all these things, like, at least bare minimum 50 hours a week. Okay.
Yep.
Like 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. And I usually put in a few hours on weekends too, but I try to take the weekends off and spend them with as much as possible with my kids and my girlfriend. Right.
Yep.
So, but that's my choice. Right. And everyone has a different amount of time that they're willing to put into their businesses. But yeah, like, how much time are you actually willing to set aside and prioritize to do whatever needle moving things or whatever consistent, boring, lame things, but still need to be done um, in order to grow your business?
Yeah, I mean, at a bare minimum, I need to be putting in at least 4 hours a day, 5 days a week into just my Kangen business. And then there's the Get Shit Done project
Okay, so
also. So I'm at,
I'm trying to simplify this for you.
yep,
So I'm asking total with
total.
whatever
Okay.
opportunities you have that are on your plate right now. Right now,
Yeah,
it's Kagan and Get Shit Done. It could be something else in the future, right? Probably
right.
will be. Probably will be.
Yep.
And so the question, and also the bare minimum thing, never do that. Your minimum is
All
your
right.
maximum, my friend. That's all you're going to get. I'm asking for the bullseye, not the minimum.
Yeah, I need to be putting 8 hours a day in.
Okay, so that's 40 hours a week, 5 days a week. What about weekends?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some actions that I need to be taking on weekends too. Like at the, I don't, there I go with bare minimums. But yeah, I need to be posting content on the weekends to
How
maintain
much
my,
time per week?
how much time on the weekends.
Total. How much time per week are you willing to dedicate to growing your business and making more money, one way or the other?
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, I can say a number, but then I keep running back into the time constraints and
We're
expectations
we're
of my
gonna get
time.
there. We're gonna get
Yeah,
there. I'm
okay.
I'm asking you to say a number, but
Yeah,
you're dodging committing on time.
all
That's
right.
you. You're doing that. Regardless of your commitments, you are dodging on committing on time that you're dedicating to your business. That's the core of the problem that you're running
Okay.
into. It seems like it's external demands, but it's not. It's
It's a lot of
full
pressure.
commitment to what
Yeah.
you're going to do in order to to grow the business and make the money you want to make. That's
Yep.
your
All right.
call. No one else gets to decide that but you.
Okay.
Nobody
Well,
in the world.
yeah, for right now, let's stick with 40 hours a week I need to be putting into my business.
Great. Okay. Good place to start. So, um, I highly recommend that before the end of the day, it's Friday. Okay.
Hmm.
If you do this, dude, by the end of the month, you're going to notice a significant change. And you're going to be met with pushback. You're going to be met with pushback from yourself. You're going to be met with pushback from the universe. And you're probably going to be met with some pushback from your girlfriend while you're figuring it out. These are all
Right.
true.
Yep.
Okay. All true. So don't expect zero pushback. And so if your aim is to consistently put in 40 hours a week, then the first thing that I would do is literally time block every single hour that you're putting in to the business. Okay.
Yep.
However, before you time block it, actually, I'd say time block it because, dude, if you if Fernie called you up, or if I don't know, let's say one of the higher ups in Kangen called you up and said, dude, we've been seeing your Facebook videos, your shorts, and they're really great. They've been getting incredible engagement. You're better at this than anybody we've ever seen in Kangen, and we want you to work for us directly, and we want to pay you 100 grand a year. Okay. 10 grand a month before taxes to be our social media video editor. But it's a 9 to 5. 5 days a week, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And we're going to monitor your computer to make sure that you're putting in the time and not sloughing off. But 100 grand a year to do something you're pretty good at and you want to get better at anyway. What do you say?
Right. Sounds awesome. And
Okay.
I would have the time blocked already.
And if you did that, how would you deal with pushback in your life or other obligations to people or other stuff that currently is messing with your productivity?
I think what I'm finding is when it involves obligations where there's other people involved other than myself, there's maybe more respect for those boundaries when it's like myself being like, look, I need to do this between this specific time block
Yeah, dude.
and I need to stay focused and do my thing during that time.
Yeah.
Whereas, yeah, if it's just myself saying that for myself, then there's like
Yeah,
a
dude,
lot more pushback.
you're being too wishy-washy. You're not being committed enough to yourself and your own goals. And that was the
Yeah, and
case.
it just comes down to also there's that, and then there's the piece of, general support and respect of the boundaries and business
It's
goals that I'm creating for myself.
yeah, but it's like generally speaking, especially in the earlier stages, friends, family, and partners are not going to have more respect for your business obligations than you do. That's not going to happen.
No, it's
You
not.
need
Yeah,
to have,
especially if they're not seeing the immediate results. They'll be like, why aren't you prioritizing me over making this dumb Facebook
or
post
why
that's
aren't
not
you
getting you any
prioritizing
results?
getting a job, or why aren't you
Right.
prioritizing doing something more stable or more
Yep.
reliable or more traditional or more whatever,
Yep.
right? And very common, dude. Very common. Like I've had there are a lot of people that have had this much worse than me, but I've had some pushback over the years from family members when
Okay.
like when things are going well and the business is exploding and tons of money is coming in, everybody does the happy dance. But when
Right.
things aren't going well, when things are tight, when I'm struggling personally and or financially, everybody else jumps ship real fast
Yep.
on my and so the issue I think that you're facing, like honestly, Eric, just to be like straight, is you're facing the same issue in Hawaii on your farm as you're facing right now. It's just showing up differently.
It
Other
feels
stuff,
different. It feels completely different.
I understand, but
It's like the opposite problem.
at the end of the day, if you know what your commitments are to yourself and what you're working toward, and you prioritize like doing that and getting better and moving forward and growing that, you will find ways to do that regardless of your schedule and regardless of the time that you have available. Time is actually a much less, it's a much smaller factor than you might realize. What happens when you're not working on your business stuff is when many of the biggest breakthroughs occur, right? When you actually take your eye off the ball and you can stop thinking
Right.
about it for a little bit and then you have an insight.
Okay.
And
Yep.
what I'm saying is that I think the challenge you're running into is that you're not fully committed to yourself and your goals with your business, or this wouldn't be an issue. So the symptoms have changed, but I think the issue is the same. And so the symptoms were, I'm foggy, I'm unclear, I don't know what my priorities should be. And so I get distracted by other stuff and whatever, right? I'm working really hard, doing a bunch of stuff, not making the progress that I want to make. Now it's like I have a lot less time. I know what I should be doing, and maybe you do, and maybe you don't. You think you know, okay, but you don't know until like you're hitting your financial goals if it's the right stuff.
Yep.
Not for sure. And so now outside pressures are preventing you from making that progress that you want to make. It's just something different that seems to be preventing you from making the progress. So the more committed you get to what you're working toward and what you're building toward, the more you will, for lack of a better term, enroll people in helping you get there.
Right.
Right. And so like that's both literally in terms of recruiting people to your team, or hopefully getting friends and family on board with like being more supportive over time, right?
Yep.
Because dude, the reality is you can start $1 million business with 1 hour a day or 10 hours a day. Like I don't, if you're completely focused and you go after it full freaking force with the time and the resources that you have available, right? Like it is there for you. That's what seems to be the thing that is throwing you off is And interestingly, one of the things that helps out with this are things like 75 hard. Like
Okay.
getting really good at making those commitments to yourself and then following through on them every single time, no matter what, and moving things in your life around in order to do that. But that includes commitments to the people that you love. It doesn't exclude the people that you love or care about. It includes those things, right? And so, because those are commitments too, right? So yeah, I would really let's see. Liz has a lot of stuff to say. Do you have any other questions or responses to any of that right now?
Um, yeah, I guess it's not that I'm not committed to what I need to do. It's that I'm running into a conflict of my commitments. I don't know. Yeah, because there is tremendous external pressure on me to put my commitments, like prioritize my commitments for my time elsewhere. And yeah, ultimately I do care how other people around me feel, and
Oh no, you should
I'm
care. No one's saying
if,
don't
if I'm
care about how
committing
people
to
feel.
my business and adhering to the boundaries that I've set, it's not that I'm not setting the boundaries, it's that they're not being respected. And yeah, I'm just feeling a lot of pushback on that. And I don't know really what to do.
Yeah, dude. I strongly recommend that you block out your 40 hours a week to work.
Yeah, I'll do
That you
that.
block it out by the hour for
Yep.
what the critical tasks for growing your business or maintaining the aspects of your business that need to be maintained. You don't have that many maintenance tasks
Yep.
because it's not your company, right?
Yep.
Like you didn't design the product, you didn't have to do customer support, like you don't
Exactly.
have really all that much other than sales and training to
Mm-hmm.
do. And
Yep.
so if you had 3 recruiting calls a day scheduled in, would you be able to prioritize those recruitment calls?
Yeah, I mean, I would have to. And yeah, again, it seems like if there's like a third party involved in my time commitments, there's generally that creates like this sort of buffer of like, oh, there's somebody else,
Right. That's where I'm saying you're not
because
committed
they
to
can't.
yourself. That's what I'm saying. You're not committed to yourself, but you are more committed to that third party. And that gives you a reason. What I'm saying is you need to have that same level of commitment to yourself.
Okay.
You are the
Yeah.
third party. You are the third party.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah.
Okay.
At the same time, Eric, I've said this before. I've been preaching for people to like live stream every day for years, and I've been inconsistent doing that myself.
Yep.
And what I've found is that when I have a co-host, I'm super consistent,
Yep.
right? And so this is an example of a way that I cop out on myself. And I'm kind of pissed off about it, but my thinking is that if I can co-host, if I can live stream for a year with a co-host, maybe that's enough training for me to be able to keep live streaming on my own. And maybe it's not. Maybe I just need the co-host thing in order to take it seriously enough. I don't know. But one way or the other, the way we're doing it right now for me is totally working. Right.
Right.
And
Yep.
so
Yep.
you can use these different aspects of yourself. You can use them to your advantage. Block off your 3 sales calls a day and then fill them up. And if they're
Mm-hmm.
not filled up, you have to spend that time hustling to fill them up. Like that's your job, right? So yeah, I would really seriously the answer to the question in my experience is step 1, schedule your time in to work and work during that time. And no one else is allowed to bother you unless it's a life-threatening emergency. That's it.
Yeah, and
That's the
I've
deal.
used those words specifically.
Yeah, well,
And
like then you
yep,
need to stand up for it,
yep,
right? Like if you're trying to build a business, like I mean, you can't let everybody's stuff like throw off your schedule for the day.
I know
You
it.
know, like again,
Absolutely.
if like somebody's in the emergency room or you know what I mean? Okay, you know, like the other day, um, let me give you an example. The other day, my kids were with their mom, my ex-wife, and she was driving my daughter to school, and she hit a giant pot. Jody is her name, and she had a giant pothole and blew out a tire
Right. I remember you telling me that. Yeah.
at like 8 a.m.
Hmm.
Had timing been a little differently, I wouldn't have been able to start at 9. I had to go and get my daughter and bring her to school
Hmm.
while Jody was dealing with a pop tire.
Yep.
Fortunately, it all worked out and we're still able to start on time.
Right.
But if the situation had been different, I might have had to be like, dude, I can't start at 9. I'm not sure when I'm going to be able to start. And you might have been like, dude, I have 5 sales calls scheduled today. The only time I can do it is 9.
Hmm.
Maybe I could do it later tonight, but I'm not even sure if I can do that. In which case, I would have needed to do the show solo on my
Hmm.
own in the first window of time that I could make available, and
Yep.
just do it anyway, right? So
Yeah.
it's kind of like there are emergency situations that will throw your schedule off, but that absolutely should be the exception.
I agree.
Absolutely should be the exception.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, and many people, as I've mentioned, I think I definitely have mentioned. I don't know if I mentioned it on air or not, but many
Hmm.
people, many entrepreneurs that work from home do run into some sort of struggle or challenge. Like if you have little kids,
Yeah.
you can't explain this to them and expect them to just not bother you while they can hear your voice in the next room on phone calls and stuff. If you're going to work from home, then you're going to have to learn how to gracefully do your stuff, handle stuff with the kids, reroute them in a different direction, and still follow through on your commitments. And if
Right.
that doesn't work, that means go get an office.
Hmm.
If there are too many distractions, like you need to put up boundaries that are going to allow you for whatever amount of time that you're scheduling in, right? Like um especially if you're building the business. But here's the thing, dude, it's the whole time, is whether you're starting the business, building the business, maintaining the business, growing the business. If you don't treat it like a serious job commitment, it's not gonna work.
Yeah. I feel that. Right.
Like, because even if you have a wildly successful business that's making tons of money, even if it's a network marketing business and you don't have any employees, if you have bad habits for following through and committing on your own time commitments, everybody in your team is going to follow suit. They're going to do the same crap as you.
Exactly.
Like attracts like, dude.
That's the problem. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yep.
and so whether you're an employer and you have people that are on payroll, or whether you're recruiting for a team or whatever, all the people that are paying that are looking to you for leadership are going to be a photocopy of a photocopy of you, right? They're going to be a slightly less driven, slightly less committed, slightly less motivated version of you, right?
Yep.
So like you should be operating at your peak.
I agree.
Um,
Definitely.
yeah, and that can be hard to get used to for housemates of various sorts, right?
Indeed. Yeah. Definitely. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So let's see. I want to dive in, answer Liz's questions, and then probably wrap this up fairly soon. Liz says, I am at that doubt place. I've always powered through and somehow made it in will and energy. Should I quit because I didn't have that ability? A better question is, how can I get my business online in a way that is new? Well, Tellman, I just answered it myself. Do it your way because you have answered. It's a just do it. If I'm doing better right now, slow as a turtle, but moving. Okay. And then she says, Eric, the place you are in is so not Hawaii. There are many things, there are many ways that you've always own. I'm not sure what you're saying there, Liz.
Bone.
Well, thanks for the clarity. That's really helpful. Why can't you see it more? Why can't you see it more job-like ways? I'm doing that because I learned as life, as a self-employed person, that this is the way they respect her. Liz, I really want to read these, but it's hard to make out what you're writing sometimes because it's not like, yeah, just if you could slow down a little bit and type in what you're saying so it's a little bit more clear, it would be super helpful. Is this related to deserving success and money or imposter syndrome? I do have some myself, as do ask if us really. Yeah, as I said, like I'm not quite sure what you're getting at. I understand about imposter syndrome. Anyway, these are questions and challenges that we all definitely struggle with or will struggle with at some point. Yeah, man. What I would say is block off your time, set up a home office if you can, and if you can't, get an office of some sort outside of the house with your time blocked, and block off time to spend doing important things with the people you love and care about.
Exactly. Yep.
Schedule it in, block it off, and do your best to stick to it most of the time.
Yep.
Like that's my recommendation. Dude, do you have any idea? So we last week we did a killer productivity webinar, get shit done productivity webinar. We had 50% or so show up rate, which was cool. And it created a whole bunch of hypnosis clients for me, and like a handful, and 3 of them, I think, were having challenges with productivity.
Okay.
And during our session together, I forced them to open up their Google Calendar and to block off time to do the critical tasks that they said they wanted to be doing that they were procrastinating on.
Great.
Okay.
Yep.
This is something that everybody has the ability to do. Every single client that was doing this already had Google Calendar, and every single one of them was smart enough to do it on their own. And every single one of them has blocked time off on their own for their important things in the past, but wasn't right now. Does that make them stupid? No. It just means that they're avoiding blocking off the time to get the result that they want to get. In most cases, because their subconscious is holding them back.
Okay.
Like, I would say that at the end of the day, it's commitment to really building the business that you want to do, or creating what you want to create. One of the challenges, though, is that you can't just say I'm committed and then be committed. Okay, that's BS. Yeah, you actually have to be in alignment with what you're doing and be fully on board yourself. So that's something I would ask, is, are you fully committed? And I mean, you don't need to answer the question right now, but are you actually genuinely fully committed to building your Kagan business and getting it up to $100,000 a year?
Right.
I would suggest that you've been working on it for a bunch of years, and so far you haven't been fully committed, or you'd be there. Like, your results are a really good indicator of your level of commitment.
There's been many periods where just extended months of time where I've been pouring, 12, 16-hour days even, and was just kind of spinning my wheels. And yeah, I feel like I have put in a lot of commitment, and the fact that I am still on it, 5 years in without having, really attained the level of success that I'm aiming for. I feel like that does speak to my commitment. Currently, yeah, am I fully committed right now? I feel like I have been recently prioritizing other commitments in my life.
Yeah. And
Yep.
and finding a way of achieving healthy balance in the various areas of your life that
Yeah,
require time commitments is challenging. It's not
it
like
is.
it's not
Yeah.
challenging,
Right.
but it's also doable, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I would really encourage you to block that time off and to not let things get in your way, even if it means that you feel like an asshole sometimes. That's what I mean, that's what I would recommend. But
Yeah. I mean, people will just have to get used to
yeah,
that.
you'll
Right.
need to metabolize it and figure it out. But like, um, if on the other hand, if you don't have time set the time that you need set aside to grow your business and to make money either in your business or in a job, then you're not going to have any money. And if you don't have any money, you're probably going to struggle in your love relationships and even your friendships if you don't have the money to like spend hanging out with people and doing fun things,
Exactly.
like,
Right. Yep.
and so um it's not a one or the other. You need to figure out how to do both.
I feel that. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I feel like I've got some stuff to work with. I've successfully blocked out every other thing on my calendar to where now I know where my empty blocks are. And the next step is to just block in my work block, my dedicated work blocks into that schedule and be really strict, not just with myself about adhering to it, but with my boundaries around that.
Yeah. And again, the third party thing, dude, you already know the answer is work parties.
Work
Like
parties.
if
Yep.
you need time to focus in on X, Y, or Z and you're having a hard time like sticking to that,
Yep.
then do work parties. Do work parties with me. Do work parties with other people in um, Kangen. Do work parties with people in your prosperity group. Do work,
Okay.
like schedule them in and like
Yeah,
schedule in
no, that's a
time to
great
double down
idea. Yep.
and do social media posting. Schedule it in to double down and write
Yep.
email copy, or whatever your things are. Um, like it's available for you.
True. Yep.
That's what I would recommend. Cool. Awesome. Well, this was a little bit of a challenging episode, I feel like.
It was. Yeah, it's been. Yeah. On the note of time constraints, I do have to get myself ready for my Valentine's Day extravaganza today, and I don't want to be late.
Cool.
So
Well, let's wrap
that
this
be
up.
yeah, that being said, my Facebook group, Pure Path to Prosperity, it's the place to be if you are wanting to get over your fear blockages that are preventing you from getting from where you're at in life currently to creating the life that you want to create, that you always dreamed of, but you didn't maybe fully believe is possible for yourself. I'm going to be helping you to grapple with the fears. That's something I've been really talking about a lot, is the fear blockages that are within many of us that are preventing us from taking actions on our dreams. And I'm also going to be sharing about the incredible opportunity with high ticket network marketing. This is unlike other network marketing companies where you're earning $20 or $50 per sale or something like that. This is a high ticket item that sells for thousands of dollars. So you get up to a 4-figure commission on a single sale. And the leverage of the compensation plan where you've got team members and making group sales and earning from your team as well is incredible amount of leverage you can create with this. And I'm going to be talking all about that inside my Wave of Prosperity webinar. And yeah, join the Pure Path to Prosperity, and I will see you there. You can find the link in the description of this video down at the PS at the bottom. And yeah, look forward to connecting, and
Awesome.
we can ride that wave to prosperity.
Rock and roll, rock and roll. So guys, if you want to get better at network marketing, click on the link to the Pure Path to Prosperity in the PS of the description. And again, happy Valentine's Day. If you're not already a member of Get Shit Done, we've opened up our paid membership today for free as our gift to you for Valentine's Day. You can go to getshitdone.com and join our entrepreneurial community while that's still available for free. So go ahead and join us there. And I guess we'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern for the Get Shit Done show.
I'll see you guys then.
Eric, you know what time it is?
It's time to get shit done.
Get shit done. Happy Valentine's Day to all.
Happy Valentine's Day.
See you soon. All right. Bye, guys.
See you later.